Welcome back. This is Key Point on TV3. We are live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and DSTV channel 279 all across the world on 3news.com. And this week, the PURC decided to take their regulatory muscle to another layer by slapping the ECG board with some over 5.8 million cedis fine. And the legality of it has been questioned, essentially, not just by the ECG board or the Jubik Mahama himself, the MD of ECG, but some lawyers as well, Richmond Roxon and a few other persons. Also joining us for this conversation, lawyer Kingsley Amwakwabuedu is a private legal practitioner, but also a member of the NPP communication team. It's good to have you, Counsel. Good morning.
Good morning to you too.
Great.
I'm glad to be here.
Great. Now, let's take a look at this. This is the PURC justifying the fine on the ECG board. First of all, one, for failure to comply with the 3-day statutory notice required under Regulation 39 of LI 2413. The Commission, in accordance with Regulation 45 of LI 2413, hereby imposes a regulatory charge of 3,000 penalty units on ECG for each of the 163 breaches, amounting to 5,868,000 Ghana cedis. They also go on to say the Commission has determined that, having regard to the nature of ECG's ownership and business, the imposition of the penalty of this 5,868,000 on ECG would be counterproductive, as payment from ECG's revenue would have a rebounding adverse effect on quality of service and consumers who pay tariffs to the company. So that's why they now decided that, because of this, in the interest of justice and to protect the interest of consumers, the Commission shall hold the board members of ECG who were in office between January 1 to January 8 to March 18 liable for the payment of this 5,868,000 Ghana cedis. These board members were at all material times responsible for providing strategic direction to ensure the provision of safe, adequate, efficient, reasonable, and non-discriminatory service to consumers. That's the reason why PURC says we're not going to charge the ECG as an institution, to the extent that these board members were at all material times responsible for providing strategic direction to ensure the provision of safe, adequate, efficient, reasonable, and non-discriminatory service to consumers. They must be held liable for all of these failures as well. Now, after that, ECG, together with its lawyers, have reacted and responded to this fine by the PURC. Let's go to the composite responses that ECG puts out. Essentially, what ECG is saying in their response to PURC is that the Commission's order imposing regulatory charges on the members of the board is unlawful, null and void, as the same is without jurisdiction. By this order, the PURC has unlawfully clothed itself with the powers of the High Court and imposed a sentence on the board members. Contrary to the rules of natural justice, the Commission failed or refused to communicate its feedback on the reports to ECG, but went ahead to impose the stiffest of sanctions as if ECG had completely failed to respond to its initial orders. As an administrative body, the PURC is required to act fairly and reasonably. But this is what the ECG, in fact, is saying. Now, I want to start off with you, Martin Pebo. Now, they talk about the catch water fall mechanism and so on. But would you say that the PURC exercised its legal right within its remit in slapping these sanctions on the board?
Not the board members themselves.
The board members.
Right? Yeah, so personally. Holding them personally liable so far is not something we can defend. You see, that's the painful truth. You know, prior to the lawyers for the board members coming out and the ECG MD coming out, you know, we were all very excited, at least most of us, that PURC had stood tall. They had risen to the occasion, because prior to that, we felt being bullied and being disrespected by energy minister and then the ECG, not giving us a timetable and telling us we are evil, we should go bring our own timetable, etc. So this PURC fine, you know, kind of gave us some hope, excitement. We had a lot to celebrate. That even if ECG was not going to comply, at least the regulator had spoken. So it was sweet. But now that the legal issues have been raised, then you find that, honestly speaking, it's difficult to justify the PURC decision. Look at it this way. Let's use the easier one. And if we discuss one which can dispose of the matter, we don't need to do the other arguments. You see, the easy thing is this. Look at the sequence of events. PURC wrote to ECG. You didn't write to the board members in their personal capacity. You didn't write to, let's say, Mr. Abenbiri, Honorable Abenbiri, to say, we think that you were derelict in your duties as a director of ECG. You didn't set good policies. You didn't see to the implementation of good policies leading to these breaches, etc. PURC didn't make an accusation against the directors personally. You directed that to the company, and the company sought to respond. So you cannot then, in giving a decision, somersault and arrive at holding the directors personally responsible. No, not enough indications had been given, not enough opportunity had been given that this is what they intended to do. So you see that you find in one of the pages, after all the analysis, then in one fell swoop, in the interest of justice and for the protection of consumers. I'm like, oh, I bet that one, yes. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. We have laws.
So they say in the interest of justice and to protect the interests of consumers, the Commission shall hold the board members of ECG who were in office between January 1 to 18th March liable for the payment of this 5,868,000 cedis. That's one of the points that PURC makes.
Yes, that's page 7. Page 7 of the order. It's difficult to justify. It's difficult. As I said, the main thing, you see the lawyers raising the points. Where is the opportunity that was given for the board members to answer personally? They were answering, and when we make this distinction because in law, the company ECG is separate from the board members. Of course, we know the company is artificial. It's not a human being. It takes human beings to run the company. Yes.
But how about this attempt at being looked at as one to remove the veil?
No, but
in company law.
So if you are going to do it, not in these circumstances. So because PURC is not a court, then that's how we still come back to the point that let those individuals answer properly. Even in law, at the time you're going to remove the veil, right? It must be so clear evidence that, right, those persons involved, the directors, committed fraud, okay? They were using the company as a sham,
right,
etc. This one, so where have you shown that the board member, of course, we think there's a lot of things going on on ECG, going on there, right? Yes, but that's another matter. At least the PURC didn't go into to say that, hey, ECG board directors, you are doing X, Y, Z. A lot of rot which we have heard, and it didn't start today. Even Kojo Poku, who is talking, you know, he has a petition with the OSP concerning ECG, some procurements of meters in 2016. Yeah, that's something I hope the OSP will go in. Yeah, Mr. Abenbiri, some of your people are involved. Let's go into it because we have to hold public officers accountable. No, you can't steal from the state like that. You can't be allowed to do procurement breaches and go. So Kojo Poku, if you ask him, he has a petition at the OSP on matters against ECG, former board members, directors, etc., right? Yes, but that's not the matter we are dealing with right now. In this particular case, you didn't say Kelly Gajepo and Co. personally took ECG resources, or they intentionally, put out the lies, etc. You didn't make personal allegations against them personally. They were answering in their corporate name, right? And once you haven't shown that, you don't come and all of a sudden just say you've lifted the veil and you are holding directors. That's not how it's done. And also it tells you that, look, going forward, PURC will have to strengthen their hearing processes, right? Streamline them, make them more fair, make them fairer so that they can have proper hearings, okay? Yes, because this one, you don't see that much of the adjudication. You see, so you don't, there's a lot to be done. But of course, so let's tell PURC, I think, yes, they did well, albeit they didn't do well in law. But practically, it's achieved some results. At least, it's given us opportunity to what? Hold the officers accountable, although it's turned out that it's not exactly legal. So it's a good attempt. Even me, what I'm lauding PURC for is the fact that they had that courage. It's that courage that is lacking in Ghanaians. That's how come we are in this quagmire. It's that courage, that conviction, looking beyond yourself. That is what is lacking. So that's how come we will support PURC that, yes, they did well, so they should look at it, backtrack, and then, come again, and perhaps look at how to improve their law. But currently, holding the board members personally responsible in these circumstances, the manner in which they started, we cannot legally support that.
Even if it's in the interest of justice?
Not at all. Interest of justice in itself, no. It's a matter that, if you look at the British jurisprudence, they don't lift the corporate veil just in the interest of justice. But Ghana, we have a Supreme Court decision that use interest of justice, I think Moko versus Kuma. So when you go to law school, there's one of the experts in the area, Seta Santi, he was at Bentienchil, he would ask you that, so when you read the English cases, do you see lifting the corporate veil in the interest of justice? Do you see that there? You don't see. So how come Ghana, our Supreme Court has lifting? Well, of course, Ghana is a different jurisdiction, etc. But it means that the people we copied from, they don't exactly say you are lifting corporate veil in the interest of justice. Don't forget, when you deal with matters of interest of justice, they will tell you that you're entering, uncharted territory. Is quite a slippery area. Public policy reasons, those things. So for now, yes, if PURC wants to do that, look, they need new rules to be clear. Because, you see, the other point we should make is that if you look at section, 45, talking about offenses and penalties, you see it expressly saying that you can hold individuals responsible, right? But that one has to do with criminal offenses. Criminal offenses. You haven't dealt with administrative penalties, and the two are different. You say it? Yes, when you are dealing with criminal offenses, they've stated it categorically that they can hold individuals responsible, that's the board members, etc. But this particular one, so offenses, that's section 42 of the PURC Act, Act 538. It deals with issues of holding the company or the corporate body responsible, holding the individuals responsible, etc. That's board members and those. Right? But that is in the context of a criminal offense. And when we say a criminal offense, when somebody is convicted, you get a criminal record, etc. Right? So here, PURC was not dealing with a criminal offense. They were doing it in the context of administrative penalties, etc. So this is a civil aspect. So you need a clear statement, just like the way 42 is very clear that when it comes to offenses, you can hold the board members. Maybe we should just read a bit of it for emphasis. This is why it says, 42.1, where an offense under this act or the regulations is committed by a body or by a member of a partnership or other firm, every director or officer of that body, corporate, of that body corporate, or a member of the partnership or other person concerned with the management of the public utility commits that offense. You say it? Commits that offense. And we are saying that here we are talking about an offense, a criminal offense. You go on, for the avoidance of doubt, look, for the avoidance of that you are talking about a criminal offense, look at it. If they go on blah, blah, it's liable on conviction. So they are saying that, and the person is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 500 penalty units for the offense. And B, is liable in addition to the payment of compensation. No, I'm interested in C. C says, a person shall not be convicted under subsection 1 when it is proved to the satisfaction of the High Court. So you see that when it's a crime, it's going to the court. But if you are dealing with it administratively, then copy the same thing and modify to show that administratively you can hold the board members responsible. Then it's easy. This is a principle we call legality, the principle of legality. And if you read the principle of legality, you know where we even got it from. It's philosophers who started debating legality. This thing that state the law clearly before you punish them. So law even copied this principle from philosophy.
I see.
So it's of antiquity. It's not, I mean, like the 10 or 100-year principle that you can just shanter somewhere. No. It dates centuries back, where even law went and borrowed this thing from philosophy. And so for us now, we hold the principle of legality very clearly, I mean, very dearly. So you want to hold somebody responsible for an action, make sure that the law is very clear that we are going for Mr. X. But you don't start that you are dealing with the company, then last minute you just somersault and land on the individuals. That one is difficult to defend. But we must laud PURC for the attempt.
Let me bring Kojo Poko on this matter, and he has to leave us. So, Kojo, a quick input on this issue, because you see, the intent, as Martin Bebo established, is PURC as to are trying to do its job of a regulator, but then again, it falls flat in the face of the law. But the intent there, getting ECG to be held responsible for some of the infractions that we have seen. Kojo?
Yes, it's a good thing, and it's basically a regulator trying to do its work in the right direction. Look, one of the things that I want to correct, and it's a notion that the likes of Honorable Bawa has and his people have been putting out there that, oh, the ECG board members have been fined because they refuse to put out a doomsday timetable. That is something that we should all try and correct. That is not true. The reason they have been fined is that per the PURC Act, you are supposed to give customers 3 days notice for any planned maintenance. So we're talking about areas where ECG said that they had planned maintenance on these transformers, and that's where there were outages, and PURC asked them that they should bring forth information to show that when they did the planned maintenance, where was the 3 days notice that they gave to customers. And that, if you look at the complied and non-complied, they did not comply or give that information, and as a result, the board members the board members were fined. But as our able lawyer Martin Bibu has explained, which is an area of his expertise, we can all appreciate that it's something that you can try, but legally you cannot impose it, because it's a company of limited liability. It means that it's difficult to now go and hold directors liable, especially when you've not even given them fair hearing. So I think that, look, but going forward, I think one of the things that some of us are looking at with interest is it possible to now introduce regulations or framework or policies in the sector where directors can be held responsible when they serve on some of these boards. So those are an interesting conversation going forward.
Yeah, I'm sure you've lived abroad. This thing about, what are you saying? That anytime ECG wants to do maintenance, we should be in Doomsaw. When you live in America, is that what happens? You mean in America, they don't do doomsaw, they don't do maintenance, or you go to the UK? Yeah, because throughout the day, it's been like anytime there's maintenance, yes. So you have alternate generators. So when this one is down, you power the other one. What are you saying?
Okay,
No, my brother, I do not make the law. The law, PURC's regulation says that if you are going to do maintenance, you should give the customer 3 days notice before any planned outages. I don't make the law.
No.
I'm not saying that it's the best.
It's not maintenance.
It's outage. It's outage.
We live in America.
Thank you.
Kingsley, you lived in the UK for decades. Is that how UK, when they are doing maintenance, do you experience do so?
I think you should allow Kojopoku to make his point. His point is that. No,
gentlemen.
His point is that.
Why are we bringing in the? Why are we?
Because we've lived there, we know the difference. That's where we are aspiring to go. And you
are aspiring to go. I'm not aspiring to go.
No, I mean, get to that level. You've come from there, so that's what I mean.
I think how much people just ask the question. I think he's responding indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
We all aspire. Look, one of the things that Alfred, can I go on?
Yes.
One of the things that my committee looked at is to basically be able to put policies and framework in place to give Ghanaians affordable, reliable power. That's all we all aspire to. As a Ghanaian, that's what we want, uninterrupted power. In fact, one of the KPIs that PURC gives the utility companies is that they are not supposed to have a certain number of outages in a year, and they are judged per the KPIs given by PURC. So we all aspire to get there. But since we are not there yet, the law of PURC says that before you do planned maintenance, you have to give the customer 3 days notice. So I don't know why that even is coming up whereby UK and the US and all that. What are we talking about?
Very much for this input. I know you have to, is leaving us now. Kojopoku, thank you. Is the chair of the...
Thank you.
Chair of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team, the energy committee of that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team. Yes, it's about a quick one, because that bit about this period that was given for maintenance and so on, because you see, we cannot continue to explain what people go through away with the fact that it's a maintenance situation, and so there's no justification for people's concerns. Just a minute on this, so that we'll move on to the ECG board.
Oh, okay. So you want me to just on the 3 minute
Yes.
on the
that 3 day
so
period of justification.
The provision is that, remember that you have a contract with the person that he pays his bills and then you supply him with what do you call it, power. In ECG, in PURC's framework, they say that look, if you are unable to provide the person power, you must notify the person latest 3 hours before the outage. It's for the person to be able to plan his life around it. And so if the outage is as a result of maintenance, the person must be informed at least 3 hours before that. If the outage is as a result of deficit in generation, the person must, be informed about that. So that's the minimum that you should be able to make. And that is a standard that is given to all the utilities to be able to do. In fact, if you come even to the water sector, you remember that PURC also regulates water. They also have those benchmarks they give to them that they must meet these particular benchmarks. So basically, that is the arrangement. But you see, there was a question that Martin was talking about that had to do with the fact that if you go into maintenance, does not necessarily mean you should put people out. Okay. All utilities built redundancies within their system. Okay. So whether it is the generation part, you have a redundancy, and usually the redundancy is what they call the reserve margin. And in Ghana, it is calculated as 18% of your your total capacity. Then with the distribution and the transmission, they always have redundancy, so that, for example, they are supposed to do work on, say, one particular transformer, but that will affect maybe, let's say, Ajirengano. They can move the load from Ajirengano and put it on another, transformer, whilst they work on Ajirengano's own. So you don't actually go off. So they build redundancies around these things. So it shouldn't be the case. And PURC has always been talking to them, and it's part of the investments that is factored into the tariff. Because in the tariff, that's why they give you benchmarks. In the tariff, in your proposal, you tell them that, look, I intend investing on, say, 10 transformers. And with the 10 transformers, it will improve my efficiency, say, by 1%. PURC says, fine. That 10%, the cost of it, is factored into the tariff. for you to be able to get that investment. However, they then give you the benchmark that you must reduce your inefficiency by 1%. I don't know what I'm making sense. So when they give you the tariff approval, when your tariff is approved for the end user to pay, they would have included that in your tariff. And that's why some of us have challenges with how the utilities behave, particularly the way they behave towards we like a consumer.
Okay.
Because I'm paying for your investments and I'm not getting the reward for it. And when I'm not even getting the reward for it, I am even not treated well, I'm treated shabbily.
Okay, so is the PURC it's legally wrong in doing what they did, but from the perspective of their regulatory as to a responsibility as in functioning, could they have done this as in trying to hold the ECG responsible for all of these deals without necessarily resorting to this legal path?
Alfred, I came here to strongly not be diverted from this legality and other things.
Well, but
because
it's important.
No, I'm coming.
It's important
because there's a major thing that has been exposed,
which is
in this PURC's findings that we should be discussing. Look, I agree that the law is the law. If the law says that, because if you look at the PURC, they say you can charge the utility, but not the persons. So I agree. So that 5.8 million could have gone to should be charged on the ECG itself. So, and ECG is not contesting that. That is not what they are contesting as a company.
Yes,
they have not. I'm coming. I'm just making a point.
PURC established that should have been done.
No, I'm coming. So I'm just trying to make a point.
They don't want it to affect their
I'm just trying to make a point. I'm developing a point. So they are not contesting that. What PURC is thinking, which of course is at variance with the law, is that look, already this is a company that is in a precarious situation because of finances. If we are supposed to charge you 5.8 and you're supposed to pay, you're going to pay from your revenues anyway. The same revenues are the ones we are insisting that you should make it and ensure that you pay the people on the value chain, such that they can produce power so that the consumer gets it. And that's why the angle of consumer in terms of justice and what we're talking about the consumer. Yeah. So that is the logic behind their thing. Unfortunately, the logic does not find space in the law as it stands now. So I can understand that. But see, it is important to put it on record that look, ECG, all the things we were saying had been proven right. One, we had indicated that from August up till February, all the revenues that ECG collected, they never put it in the cash waterfall mechanism. Thank you. It has been established. Two, it has been established that ECG looked into the eyes of Ghanaians and lied through a press statement.
Where is the lie?
The lie is that, you remember, when they were having the load shedding, ECG issued a statement saying that the reason for the outages in the country between 7 and 11 was as a result of the fact that they were replacing 630 of their transformers. Yeah. It is on the strength of that the PURC then asked them that, look, one, give us the GPS locations of these ones. Two, give us the ratings of those, those plants. And the reason why they give those things is that if you give me the ratings, I'll be able to know whether your thing is overloaded or not. Now, from their findings, only 89 went beyond 100. Yes. Only 89. If you put it, about 626 of their transformers were between, even somewhere even less than 70 and 100. So ECG lied to the public under the signature of the managing director. That alone is, in my opinion, gives a reason why that man should not be in the office today. Two, if you know by the IMF conditionalities that they've given to us, because they had identified the energy sector as one of the greatest threats to our economy in terms of the level of indebtedness, had indicated that, look, have a single account. Say that anytime you give out the monies, you take the revenues, we can follow where the account in which these monies are put in. The president subsequently gives an order, then run a single account. Now, when PwC was contracted to audit the cash waterfall mechanism and the activities of the ECG, one of the things they did was that they refused to make their bank accounts available to the auditor.
Yeah.
And it was one of the concerns that they raised. At that time, we thought that they were running around 37 accounts. Per the documents that have been presented by ECG itself to PURC, they're not only running 37, they're running 61 accounts.
You see?
They are running 61 accounts. That, again, is a clear violation of the directives of the president, the directives that have been given to us by the IMF, and in fact, the whole idea of the cash waterfall mechanism. So on the strength of that, what business does the board still have to be in the position? So I can agree that you may not be able to surcharge them per the laws that we have today, but morally, they should not be occupying that office.
Absolutely.
They should not be occupying that office. And that is why I am indicating very clearly that, look, yes, there's an ultimate executive responsibility on the part of the Minister for Energy and to the President, by virtue of the fact that that is an executive function anyway, isn't it? So it's the President who does the appointment. So I can understand that the ultimate responsibility falls on the President and falls on the Minister for Energy. But let me say that ECG has not told us that there has been a counter directives that have been given to them beyond just what has been made public in terms of what the IMF itself gave and what the President himself gave. So if they have not followed this to the extent, and look, Alfred, do you know the amount of money we're talking about here? Per the PURC system, if you look at their collection losses, their collection rate that they've given them, PURC has said that we have allowed you that you should be able to collect at least 98%. So based on your own posted sales, you should be making around 8-point-something billion. I get the point.
Yeah. Right.
However, for the purposes of the cash waterfall mechanism, we agreed that at least instead of the 8.9 billion, you post 7 billion in the account. The amount ECG posted in the account was 4.9 billion. Where's the difference? Where did the money go to? And that is why the last time when I came here, I indicated that one of the things that and you see, cash waterfall mechanism falls, you know that cash waterfall mechanism falls directly under the vice president. Now the question that you ask yourself is that if this money has not been, where has the money gone? And that was the point I made to you, that what ECG is doing is that instead of using that money to pay the people in the value chain, they are using it for procurement. And you know what procurement does. It is the point, in an election year, it is only that you can have, kickbacks.
Stealing.
This is why. That is why. The ECG is a cash machine for the running of the MPP's campaign. And that is why, and I'm making this point. Look, Masa, do you know that as we speak today, how on earth that and I made this example the last time, in my own household, I borrowed to pay my children's school fees. I borrowed to pay their medical bills. I borrowed to buy water. The money comes, and my first option is to paint my house instead of paying my debt, those people who are owed. That is the behavior of ECG. The government is not holding them to account. The minister himself is not holding them to account. And the reason why they are not doing is because part of that money is being used for procurement, and that is where the kickbacks come in. It is corruption.
That's it.
Well, Marco, so there are fundamental questions that have to be answered, as has been raised by Bauer. Maybe the legal route that PURC used is where the question is as to whether it can clothe itself with the powers of sanctioning the board of ECG. But does that take away the fundamental concerns that have been raised about the administration of the power sector, which has led to some of these issues that we are all experiencing as consumers? I'm sure yourself, you've been sleeping in darkness. Oh?
Well, thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is that, indeed, PURC overstretched its mandate in going after the board members in this state. In this instance, when it hadn't given them notice, when we say you give someone notice, is to say that I am going to make a determination of what you tell me. So come and tell me the reason why I shouldn't take this decision against you personally. In what happened, I think there was an administrative request for some information that was given them, and then based on that, they gave these sanctions against the board members. And if you look at Regulation 45, clearly, it says sanctions against the public utility, and the words there, none of them refers to the board members. It doesn't take away the fact that the board members are the, if you like, the ones that direct the utility or a company. If you're looking at company, it doesn't take away from that fact. But the mere fact that the two pillars on which justice runs, Nemo Iudex in Kosaswa, or the Alterem Patem, the fact that they didn't give them that notice, it doesn't create fairness. All right?
But that's for ECG to establish, is it not?
No. It is established that they did not give them that hearing. You didn't give him hearing because you didn't give him notice that you are coming against him personally. You see, the board members have their functions. And so for you to come at them, you should show that they've breached their core functions. Okay? And to do that, you must give them notice, which you have failed to do so. What I draw from my brother Martin's what he gave out is that we all want regulatory bodies to work, to function properly, okay? But if we adopt the position, especially what my brother is adopting, now going into conspiracy theories and ending on the decks of the vice president because he's the flag bearer of MPP, we lose out on several things that happen, and it results in this. Because now, we become more emotive than complying with procedure. And if you don't comply with procedure, it results in this. At the end of the day, does it solve the problem? And what we are looking for is, my brother said that we want to elevate our standards to that of UK. So what we have to do to elevate our standards to UK is what should concern us. But if you don't do that, and then we are jumping from one end to the other, and we are now saying it is now the cash cow of the flag bearer of MPP, and that's what we're going to use to finance the elections and whatnot, and it is corruption, and that's what he was saying.
Prove me wrong.
And if you, no, I don't need to prove you have to establish it. And I'm saying,
I am saying,
you see, we could do that and raise our voices, and I'm not sure what the public wants to do.
Hold on.
I'm not sure that's what the public wants to hear. I am saying, if we don't concern ourselves with what the problem is, and so that we elevate the standard of UK or US, and we jump into this conspiracy theory and whatnot, and this corruption, and this was going to use to finance the election of MPP, we will lose track of this. The fact is that there are issues. Here,
so you establish that there are issues.
Of course, I mean, come on.
Okay, great.
Come on. Is someone coming to anywhere to stand and say there are no issues?
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, people are denying that there's no doom.
No, there's no one that's denying that. You can use the word doom or whatever. The fact is that
PURC said there's no.
Yes, you see, these are the things you do. Okay. And then we are lost in transition. These are the things you do, and we are lost in transition. Okay?
Proceed.
And
that's
then,
why we did. That's why you did, and we booted out these people. That's why you did, and we booted them.
And then instead of elevating the standard, if you booted them out, it was right that we booted them out. So in order for you to see, and you, Martin, I mean, this is the first time I'm meeting you here, but we are friends. We always meet in talk, in court, we talk. We are personal friends beyond even just meeting in court. You see, you are positioning yourself as a third person, be it an umpire or a dispassionate person. And I've met you even in East Legon when I used to work with Dominica. That was that's the first time I heard you say that you don't want a particular party, one particular party, to do beyond 2 terms because of your reasons.
Stealing,
now,
corruption.
Now, you are now in a position where you are so vehemently wanting to see the end or the backside of MPP that now you don't even say things which are based on evidence.
Talk about the ECG.
You were supposed to talk about the ECG, and then you spoke about corruption.
No, yes,
corruption is never an issue. So let me learn. You are not even the person handling this program. You are not even that person. Martin, put yourself in that position where you can comment.
Come back to the topic.
No.
Come back to the topic.
Put yourself in that position. My friend, what line between me and Martin? You have no idea.
Yeah,
please.
Yes. But I say
you have established that they are friends.
Please.
So let's
put yourself in that position
talk about the issue.
Where
let's proceed.
You can now make comment on issues which are not actuated by that need to see one party out or one party in.
So
comment on it as it is. And that's what you've done since I've been here. Now let's continue. So the fact is that PURC definitely, not having done these things, could not have surcharged the board members. It's clear. She could not have surcharged the board members. So any attempt at doing that takes away from the main issues. The main issues, we can sit here and be as technical as Bawa did and lose the public out of it. The bottom line is the public want to see what steps we are taking to solve the problem. We have talked about even engaging third parties to make sure that collection of revenues are in place. If Bawa and his people are going to say that, then let's probably look at the process of engaging that third party and make sure things are done properly. That's a discussion we can have. But to all this jumping from here to here, it doesn't solve any problem. It doesn't solve any problem at all.
I see. But then again, if it's about jumping from here and there, you establish that there are fundamental issues that have to be addressed. How should those issues be addressed? When already we've established that PURC's attempt to use the legal route, they may have, in fact, they have actually overstepped their boundaries. So how should those issues be addressed?
Even in that, it's just a procedural impropriety, which can be cured. It's just, you see, it still remains, this order still remains an order of the commission. ECG can say they will not comply with it, all right? One of them will have to go to court because only the court we can apply for judicial review of it, because you see it makes the II says a commission has determined, so it's a determination. Article 23 says that it must be done, a public official must do so in fairness, all right? And of course, they have established that it wasn't fair because they didn't give them notice. Okay, so if this order persists, and I don't think it shouldn't just be here and then it becomes a tug of war. And the only good thing that is established is that the government does not control the regulatory board, the PURC. Just like my friend on the other side who want us to know that it's being part of the narrative of NDC that the government is controlling the PURC and whatnot. Now we've established that.
On this platform,
yes. Now we've established that. Now then it results in that tug of war, and it doesn't solve the problem. So PURC must go back and cure the defect, okay, and then engage ECG, and then there will be a resolution of this. That's how I see it.
See, going back to engage, but you see, you're on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament. This matter will still come back to you.
No, PURC first. So PURC should do its job, exactly. And it's not the end of this. It's not about withdrawing this order, curing it, giving them the fair hearing, and then do the needful. That's about it.
You see, for me, the bigger issue to address, and that's the point I make. You see, the first segment of this discussion, we had spoken about the fact that, and that was when Kojopoko was here, that the current power subsector challenges is as a result of finance. And that was what we all spoke about here.
Kojopoko did not deny that.
He can't deny that.
Precisely.
Yeah, he can't deny that.
Precisely, yes.
Now, and the issue was because one of the reasons why we are not being able to give money to the players within the value chain to at least meet their operational cost was because the cash waterfall mechanism was not working. Because we want to resolve the issue, isn't it? The cash waterfall mechanism is not working. You have a group of people who are running the company that takes care of the cash waterfall mechanism. And the report, based on just what ECG is, remember that these determinations were based on PURC gleaning through the documents that they asked for. You remember they gave deadlines and they asked for. So that's what they gleaned through. And they were able to establish that, for example, if you take the category B, which is made up of the state-owned agencies, that from August till now, they have not been paid. From August till February, they have not been paid. It was only in March that they put about some amount of money, about 400 and something million, into the account. So it has been established. So if we are supposed to resolve this issue, we first have to deal with the indiscipline within ECG. Because I use the word indiscipline because all of you have agreed that in the first place, you don't even meet the payment, when they invoice you, you are unable to pay all the monies. But they are saying that, look, even if you cannot pay all, the money that you get, put it in the place and then distribute it based on a predetermined formula. And in this case, they have a category A and category B. The category A made up of the IPPs, and the category B made up of what they call it, the state-owned agencies. And I remember that is always the crumbs that are left after they have paid the 6 IPPs. So the crumbs that are left that they give to the category B people. However, Ministry of Finance is supposed to augment that money with some payment. Indeed, the audit suggested that they were supposed to put about 200 million in addition to what was left for the category B. Ministry of Finance has not done it. That is a problem. And so, until we get this, and I have indicated that until we have a situation where we can resolve that, and that is what, for me, is the question. It's not about the technicalities, and that's what I said. It's not about the technicalities, who is supposed to be set charge, who's not supposed to be set charge. In any case, that money, do you know where the money was going to go to? It was going to go into the fuel account. And the fuel account is still going to be used in procuring fuel to generate power for consumers. So it was not like the fine was coming to PURC. PURC said, look, we'll fine you individually, we'll take the money and buy fuel and generate power for the country because of the fact that you, as a body that gives policy directives, I mean, it cannot be said that the board was not aware, for example, that they were not putting the cash waterfall, the money inside the, what do you call it, the cash waterfall mechanism. It can be said that as a board, you would not know that after they gave a directive, the president who appointed you, remember that the board is appointed by the president. The president who appointed you says that run a single account, and consistently you have the chief, the MD, come to report to you, because that's the very reason why the MD is part of the board, come to report to you and indicate that he's running 61 accounts, and you are quiet. And you are quiet. I don't know what I'm making sense.
This 61 accounts is contrary to the directive of the president.
And this is captured in the IMF document, and it's captured by the directive given by the president.
I'm still listening to you, and I'm looking for the point where you say that they have committed fraud for which there must be such a personally.
You don't get the point I'm making.
No, I'm personal point you're making. That's why I'm quiet.
No, but listen to what I said.
Till you go to the board members personally,
lawyer,
they must have committed some fraud.
Lawyer, I had indicated to you that as we speak now, the law, as per what you guys, and you are technical in that.
No,
as per,
you rather
I'm talking about the law.
Very well.
Yes, me, I'm just talking energy.
Okay.
You are talking law.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that the logic behind is PURC's determination and then final decision does not sit well within the provisions of the law. That I agree. But I'm saying that that should not let us lose sight of the findings of PURC.
Yes, so
which
the
is
other findings.
Yes, the other findings, because that is key. Because if we resolve that issue, this fine is not an issue. What we should be resolving is how is ECG being accountable to the consumer in terms of, for example, giving us the mandatory period of 3 days to know that I'm going to go off. How is ECG accountable in trying to run a single account so that we can, because usually the cash waterfall mechanism has a committee that runs it, and that committee is housed in ECG. The committee can only trace the revenues when they know where the accounts are. But if you are running 61 accounts, which account am I going to look to see that this is happening? And besides that, the audit that was done by PwC indicated, because in the formula, ECG itself has a tick.
Can you relax?
You see, if you look at the formula, ECG itself has a stake of 20.17%. So if the state agencies are supposed to be sharing after they have paid the category A, the category B people, ECG is part of that arrangement, and they are supposed to take what is then left. They are supposed to take 20.17% of the amount of money. PURC's audit had indicated that ECG had spent way above that particular allocation given to them. I don't know what I'm making sense.
Oh, perfect.
So
perfect.
These are all issues that are maladministration.
For which the board should answer for?
For which the board should answer for.
So why would PURC not now constitute a tribunal so that it is determined and say that by looking at papers?
And I don't want to be trapped in your law.
Yeah, why would not be trapped in the law? Because before you convict someone,
you can make moral arguments. And law always takes from morality.
Yes.
Precisely.
I don't want to be trapped in your law.
But still, the right thing must be done. And so your morality must also include that they must be allowed to answer That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. The things you say. I'm not saying whether they exist or they don't exist. I'm saying that whatever your issues are, they must be allowed.
Let me ask you a question. As if you are the owner of a company,
yes,
and your company is running into problems with its other partners, in terms of how they should be able to pay their bills, then you give directives to your company that look, anytime revenues come, make priority for the payment of bills. Then after 3 months, I'm just giving after 3 months, you come to realize that the board that you have put in place as the owner, and then the management that is there, abiding by your this, they may not have committed any crime. By virtue of the fact that they may not have committed any crime, but on the moral basis, can't fire them.
I'll have to give them a hearing first. That's all the point I'm making.
So you see,
I must give them a hearing first. Without giving them a hearing, I can't say I have discovered certain things.
Ends this way. This is how the moral argument ends. Based upon their dereliction, even in the absence of a law to convict them, they ought to go quickly. You see what Kelly did? You see how Kelly Gajeku did? You see he left quickly.
Yeah, Kelly didn't tell you that he's left because of any bribery.
Obviously, look at it.
What is that?
He said for personal.
He said for personal. We cannot make these conjectures. But if there is a hearing on this, then you are home and dry with it. Which no one is driving you. But make that available to them. So that you are sitting here and saying that even the MD must go. That's not hearing.
Look, let me say.
Okay. We don't know how we do this.
Let me finish. Let me make a point. See, even as a board, and that's why when Kelly went and people said, oh, he's gone, and I said he should have gone years back. And I'll tell you why he should have gone years back. Just even take, he's been a board chairman from 2017.
No, it wasn't 18
No, as a board chairman, 2017.
No, I think
Otinjesi just did a year and left. So 2018 up to now. You, under your stewardship, I will not even use from 2018. I'll just use 2020 till now. From 2020, the company's losses have been increasing. From 26 up to 32 now. Each percentage constitutes about 54.74% million. That's how much it costs the company. If, as a board chairman, for 4 years, the company's losses are increasing, you have no business sitting there. You have no business as a board sitting there.
And who was supposed to be even asking questions so as to even take this action?
Yes, so that's the point. You see, so again, this then comes. That's why I said there's an executive responsibility on this. That I expected that the president would have stepped in and said, look, based on all these factors that we have, we are realizing that the company is getting worse and worse. So on the strength of this, I think that I need to change the board.
And that wasn't done.
That wasn't done. So Kelly should have gone long ago. So for him to have gone now was even late in the day, but it's still a better late than never. But I think that the other board members have no moral right. Their positions as board members is no longer tenable. That is the argument I'm making. Based on the findings of PURC, their positions are no longer tenable. And I expect that if by Monday they should be able to say, yes, we know that the law does not say you should surcharge me. You can surcharge the utility. However, on the basis of principle, I have failed the state. I'm going off.
You expect the board members
Why can't
to
you do that? Why can't you? What is it that they are getting there that they don't want to go?
You expect the board members of
argument,
to
to me, argument is flawed.
I see, but well...
To me, argument is flawed because you cannot replicate what happens in one company, private sector, to
this... So governments won't come vote. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? No. Why don't you want me to land? Why don't you want me to land? We have a unique public utility where there are legacy debts and whatnot. So for you to say that just the changing of the board solves the problem, I think it's flawed.
Anyway,
no, but you have not been able to identify where the flaw is. You don't just make a statement that, oh, it's flawed without providing evidence. Where is the flaw in my argument? What is the flaw?
That's the point I just made. That by changing a board, you solve the problem of the utility.
They give policy directives.
No, by changing,
they give policy directives.
By changing it,
they give policy directives.
By changing it, that does not solve the entire problem of ECG.
You said entire, but you solve what?
Okay.
So you're admitting it. Thank you. Look, we do not become dispassionate about this ECG so that we take it bit by bit. We will resolve in this matter when someone riding on emotions are not going to surcharge.
Quote me anywhere that if you look at, because I don't want to believe that the monies that are not put in the cash waterfall mechanism are just seated in an account for investment. They have been spent. And if it is not for the payment of your, what you call your reckoning, and that will be part of your payment of your bills based on what they have invoiced you, you are using it for procurement. And I see, they talked about some 600 and something, what do you call it?
Overloaded.
Yes, how do you call them again? Transformers. Why? Did they give it to them free of charge? You are replacing transformers that do not have problems.
So,
as per the, what do you call it?
But you just sat here and said, at least, per your analysis, you said at least
let me,
89 of them.
Yes, but 626 of them are functioning well.
Why are you saying that none of them have
are you buying 630?
No,
that's procurement.
You see,
and you know the point I'm making.
You see,
procurement.
You see,
and all of us know that in this country,
for political purposes,
the one animal that
calm
is the
and look at the figures,
and
then we can come to
the source of corruption is procurement. Whether it is contracts, whether it is services,
it doesn't help anyone in this discussion.
Even the Public Utilities Workers Union indicated that ECG runs about over 33,000 transformers. 630 cannot be the reason why we are where we are at this point. But Matibebo, the last word on this matter, because you see, could the PURC have achieved this same objective without necessarily having to go on this path so as to then fall or raise fundamental questions about the law? Because they didn't surcharge ECG as an institution because they said that they don't want the fine to impact on the revenues of ECG. That's why they went beyond the institution to now hold the individual board members responsible. But the intent and objective of this particular decision, could that have been achieved without going through this other path that has led to these legal issues being raised?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Which other means?
So the easiest was just going by the law, stay by the black letter of the law, would have been to put the fine on the ECG itself. Just put it on the ECG.
But then that comes back to the concern they raised, that if they surcharge ECG, it would impact on the resources of the company, because Jubik Muhammad is not going to pay from his pocket. It's the ECG that's going to have to pay.
Yes, but so that's when they should have known that if they intended to target the board members, then from day one, the processes should have been drawn out in such a way that you separate the board members from the ECG, the institution itself. So you say, like Kingsley, I said earlier, Kingsley is repeated, serve them personally, in their personal capacity. It's not difficult, but like you see what Honorable Abambiri said, look at the order. Yeah, but okay, the Bauer is the final training.
We went to the same school.
So
really? Yeah, so he knows that.
I don't know that about me.
So the thing is that the other findings, and like he said, the cash water mechanism is mentioned, and it's a serious matter, Kingsley. Like you said,
I'm not retracting that from you at all.
The rest of the money, where the money goes, because even in the Constitution, we've been struggling to do a single treasury account for decades. You see? And we try to implement it, we take 2 steps forward, then 5 backwards. You see the Fiscal Responsibility Act, they say, yes, we're going to do a single treasury account, then single treasury account, then well dodged, because politicians always need avenues to steal. So this point is something we shouldn't lose focus over. So I think that, listen, PURC has done a good job. They should just amend the report to take out the issue of the personal liability, so that the rest of the report can stand. Because you know, sometimes when you enter court, if you are not careful, you give opportunity for other issues to be raised, and then before you discover, the whole report is gone. So I think
that's what I say. You should come to court.
No. We don't want this, because look, PURC, you've done a good job. All right, in terms of standing tall, when Akufo-Addo is somebody who is intimidated public officers from day one.
You suffered again.
But we went to court. He was handed out of office.
So stay with PURC and deal with them.
Political context is important, because Akufo-Addo has that track record, hounding people out of office.
We never saw problem because of this.
We went to court.
You are saying PURC should withdraw better it. Then continue from there.
So, but it's good to put the context.
That context. Is a different thing.
It's related.
Auditor General's report and this.
It's related that he's hounding people out of office.
He's not hounding who are they hounding?
Let me just say this: that let Martin Pebo proceed.
Yes, exactly.
And end on his point. Coming in only makes this conversation destructive.
Very good.
Please stay on the.
So I'm saying that we should laud PURC for having that courage to do this exercise. especially in a context where President Akufo-Addo is given to intimidating public officers, okay, putting people before court when there's no case, apart from the CDD case we took to the Supreme Court. Look at ACP Agbojo. What did he do? His Attorney General stood and told me that, listen, there's no case against Agbojo. They've just added him.
Oh,
you added him.
But
I've been meeting
you spoke at the bar.
Okay. Yes.
Why are you here?
But I've been
saying
it.
Staying at the bar.
That means
It's improper.
There's no rule.
It is improper. Our profession, it is improper. You speak at the... So it means that if I speak at the bar with you, at any point in time, you can... You speak at the bar.
Conclude on the point.
So you have other cases. I'm sure we could mention, we could go on and on and on. So in a culture of intimidation, intimidating public officers, right from the presidency, where you have PURC standing that tall, we will stand with PURC. And so ask that this small part of the fine, since there is a risk that if they don't amend it, they don't deal with it, the case may end up in court and then things can snowball into other parts of the report. Then it's safe that they just do an amendment of that part of the report and reissue it. This is, then we all move on, because it will not take that much away from the PURC. I mean, they've won our hearts. Won our hearts. Kingsley, your people are in today.
I don't know whether
my last sentence.
Whether you observe something on the you observe something in the report.
If he talks, I will talk.
No.
If he talks,
no. You know what I'm going to say?
My last sentence.
I was just going to say that. Did you see how those who signed the document? You know, it's very unusual. Usually, the chief executive would have signed this and sent it out, but just to ensure that the whole group of commissioners were in sync with the decisions that they took. Each one of them signed. Look at PURC's orders that they give out, and then the fines that they give out. Usually it's the executive secretary who signs it. But in this particular one, just to be able to make the point that they all agree with the fact that ECG has a problem. They all signed.
Okay, so Mr. Okanse, my last sentence.
This is not material.
If one person signs it,
my last sentence. Just one sentence. So my last sentence is that this topic has brought back the issue of the inflation of the Ameri deal by 800 million. President Akufo-Addo, we are still holding you responsible. 800 million. That was what we were going to do to us.
Okay.
Yes. For NDC. 800 million. Akufo-Addo. You see, big talk. When you're in a position, I will root out corruption. You came and sacked, and you were increasing the contract by $800 million. Okay. Multiply by CDs. This is the kind of presidency you've superintended over. You see your end.
Fred Convener from says Pokwasi says your panel today on energy is superb. I am taking notes from, I think you mentioned Bembuachi, Kojopoku, Honorable Bauer, and lawyer Martin Pebo. This was in reference to the earlier conversation.
Yes, okay.
That preceded you. Good morning, Alfred. This is from Theophilus. Please, for the benefit of education, I would like to find out if your panel can answer this. How possible and how feasible is it for ECG, being a distributor of power to consumers, invest in solar to complement the national grid they get from grid so that anytime there are challenges, they can support the distribution with the solar power generation, which will then avoid load shedding exercises, you say. With regards to the Ameri plant relocation, correct me if I'm wrong, it used to be in Tema and it was relocated to Takoradi and now moved to again to Kumasi.
No, it was. It is what he's talking about is the car power. Power. The first phase was in Tema.
Yes.
When we did the second phase, they just took the first one to Takoradi and then did it in Takoradi. Yes.
Thank you for that. This one here says, good morning. Very shocked to hear Kojopoku saying there's massive improvement in outages. Since we entered April, not a single day had passed without lights going off in Sekendi, Takoradi and its environs. Stephen N.S. Bua, thank you. This one here also says, currently the lights... Okay, good morning, Alfred. In fact, you can see the deceptive and at the same time elusive posture of MPP. What Kojo is saying is, you say, insulting and disregarding or downgrading to Ghanaians. Currently, the lights just went off in Wa and also in parts of Salaga, you say. This one also here says that it is good that the admission has been made that there's something going on that has to be addressed. Lawyer Amuakwa, no, there's a message. It said, accepting that there are issues only gives us reason to believe that those issues must be addressed regardless of the legalities. Says, good morning to Lawyer Amuakwa. This one here says, Alfred, on the matter of handing over of certain government establishment to private hands, as suggested by Otunfo, especially the energy sector, I don't think that must entirely be the case because a Konsombo Dam linked to VRA is the heart of the country. And Papa Bisu sent this one. Thank you very much. Stephen Peng from WA also indicates that the lights just went off in WA as well. Yes.
I have relations there. They are always suffering. I'm a Saman. It's terrible.
So
terrible.
There are quite a number of people who are sending us messages that, so Koforidia is, part of Koforidia is off. Suhum Nkoko, Prince Henry Koforidia also sending us this one. We have about almost 1,000 messages. Thank you very much for the messages. I'll be back shortly after this quick break. We're getting into another issue that borders on state funds, public sector corruption, and how to address it. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Causing financial loss to the state. We'll be back shortly.